Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Wednesday, October 29th. Lovely to have you in for another episode of the Prime Time program. We are going to get into the self-scout of Cam Ward, the progress that he is making, and the things that we can actually learn about this player. We had a good breakdown. That's the wrong graphic by me. We had a good breakdown from Zach Lyons of Blaine and Zach, and also the Football and Other F Words podcast, of a couple of places where the offense has taken steps. And we do have some Cam Ward performances. Now, 2 sample sizes of Cam Ward in the post-Brian Callahan era, where there is some discernible improvement to be made. We are going to hear from Cam Ward on this subject. We are also going to get into a little bit of the Eddie George comments that were making the rounds last week. Honestly, we did not do the primetime show on them last week because there was some confusion as to what Eddie George actually said or who he actually named in making his comments about the state of the Titans franchise. And so I kind of let it go. And regrettably, but it's a slow week, we're not going to have meaningful games to talk about moving forward. The Patriots game was kind of this team's Super Bowl. And in the absence of winning that Patriots game, there's not much else to talk about. So we will get to Eddie George's comments later on. I had Keith Bullock in studio today on the radio show. I asked him about Eddie's commentary, and I thought he gave a pretty thoughtful response about the state of the team that both of them helped make famous. We'll do a little rising and falling at the end of the show, as is the custom on a Wednesday evening, and we'll look forward to hanging out together. Richie says, Buck, remember when Lucas said that was lazy to say the Titans just want to get rid of all of John Robinson's players and Rand's? Well, I think I understood what position Lucas was taking at the time, because there are a handful of things about the Titans roster that don't need to be protected here. Chig Okonkwo being the last player left from the last 3 drafts of John Robinson, I think it's fair to look around and say, yeah, I mean, listen, Roger McCreary is I think a solid corner. I don't know if Roger is great. I don't know if Roger is above average. I know that Roger is a starting caliber nickel corner, and the Titans need starting caliber players. I think that when they traded Brownlee, in my head, the only way that it made sense was there's an extension that needs to be on the table for Roger McCreary. They obviously felt differently. That's something that we also talked about for those of you who listen to the radio show today. That's something that we talked about in the last couple of sequences, where everybody who works in professional sports has pride. It doesn't matter. It's not even specific to professional sports. It is commentary about, you and whatever it is that you do. If you like what you do, and I know a lot of people don't like their jobs, but if you care about the job that you're doing, even if it's not your favorite thing in the world to do, if you care about being excellent at what it is that you are tasked with doing, then you have pride about the way that you go about your job. You have ego about the way that you go about your job. You have belief in self, right? Cam Ward has self-confidence in his ability to play NFL quarterback, even though his team is 1-7. I have self-confidence in my ability to be able to do a talk show for 3 hours a day, a streaming show for 35 to 45 minutes a night, 2 hours of pregame on Titans radio, it's one podcast with Greg Cosell on a weekly basis. I have self-confidence and ego in my ability to talk with intel and with informed opinions on the thing that it is that I cover. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to sit here in front of you as often as I do, or on the radio show for as long as I do, and act like people care about what I have to say. You likely have belief or self-confidence that whatever it is that you do, that you are, maybe if you're not the best at doing it, that you have the ability to be the best at what it is that you do, whether you're in sales, whether you're a doctor, whether you are somebody who works in trades. Like, there is self-confidence. There should be self-confidence in you for as much time as you spend in your job, that you're going to be able to do things the right way. So that Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi believe that their plan to fix the Titans is the right plan and that what came before them was the wrong plan shouldn't surprise anybody. But it is hard to see the forest through the trees when the football is as bad as it is, when the team itself is 1-7, when their games don't matter, and you keep hearing patience over panic, patience over panic, patience over panic. And the owner kind of usurps patience over panic when she swoops in and fires the coach in the middle of everybody repeating the mantra that they spent all offseason doing. So I'm not saying that they're going to be right. I'm saying I understand why they believe that. You should want people that believe that they are the solution to the problem. The question that is fair to ask about anybody who's associated with the Titans organization for any extended period of time, Borgonzi just got here, Brinker has been here, it is fair to question whether those people actually know what the hell they're doing, because the product seemingly, it's just gotten worse, right? It got worse from 2022, 2023, 2024. Maybe they match their win total from last year, but their projected win total was 5.5. Nobody in the world expects them to win 5 games in 2025. It would take an active football god to see a vision for the Titans winning 5 games in 2025. So I think it's fair to look at them and say, well, you're already behind schedule, and now you're selling this thing off for parts, which ultimately makes the most sense. But it is a tough sell for a fan base who's just sick and tired of this shit. And nobody would blame them. And especially when the sequence is Jarvis Brownlee, who's inexpensive and talented, and maybe gave you a little more pushback than the kind of player that you're looking to add. But it's your job to get the most out of talented players who have been found at value. You don't have any corners. You have one corner under contract beyond this season. His name is L'Jarius Sneed. And it was a circumstance where I walked into the locker room today, and Sneed's obviously on injured reserve. And listen, to the players' credit, like, it's not a bunch of mopey, miserable, sad boys in there. Chig Okonkwo, I hope Chig doesn't get traded for no other reason than the idea Chig's always in a good mood. And I appreciate that, because, like, I'm not out there putting my body on the line and shit like that, like football players. And I'm not, I don't work. My job comes with long hours, and it comes with nights and weekends, and there's some level of sacrifice in every job that anybody does, right? But I'm not digging ditches for a living, right? But I'd be lying to you if I said that I'm not tired of losing bad football too. This shit bothers me. It annoys me. Even as I understand how fortunate I am to be able to do a fun job that any one of you, I think, would trade me for in a heartbeat, because it's around sports. It's around your favorite team. And it's something that I think a lot of people, if they got to pick any profession to do for the rest of their life, would pick, because it is a lot of fun more often than not. But like trudging into the locker room to ask a bunch of dudes who are sick and tired of us asking them about why they suck so bad for the last 4 years, and doing it for 3 or 4 days a week for 45 minutes a day, that's not fun for everybody. So I appreciate that Chig and a couple of other players, a lot of the young players, have great attitudes about it, because it would be very easy for them to look at us and be like, say some words that I probably shouldn't say on a live streamed professional broadcast and tell us to get the hell out of their faces. I get that. Titans, or rather Dixie on YouTube, says Titans locker room being happy-go-lucky actually explains out. I'm not sure what that means. And if you're implying that they should not have good attitudes about the job that they're doing at 1-7, I understand what you're saying about that. I understand the idea that the Baltimore Ravens took all of the ping pong tables and games, the Papa Shot out of their locker room, because the Baltimore Ravens are a serious organization and they want their players focused on the most important thing, which is winning. The Titans still have the Papa Shot. They still have the Foursquare. They still have the ping pong and things like that. And I think that they would, I don't know. It's a tough balance for me to say, yeah, they need to be focused on the most important thing, because I don't think their front office at this point wants them to win games. Like, I'm sure that they would tell me that that's not true if I asked them that in a public setting. I'm sure that they would be less than truthful about it in a private setting and say, no, the most important thing to us is winning football games. I think there's reason to believe that at this point you would like a situation where you're able to sell the rest of this thing off for parts, to put together draft capital that will give you an opportunity to reset the board, and that you might not call it tanking, because I think you're still putting together, you're still expecting players to go out there and try, but I have a hard time believing that everybody in the organization at 1-7 heading into a date with the Chargers, where at last I saw, Ross, you might check this for me and whatever your your preferred sports betting app is. What is the line between the Titans and the Chargers? Because somebody sent me the other day that it opened at 19.5, which would be insane. The fact that the Chargers would be bigger favorites in Nashville against the Titans than the Colts were at Lucas Oil in Week 7. I'd like to know what the line is. I haven't looked myself, but it was just a passing thought. Ross, what is the line?
DraftKings has it at 8.5 Chargers.
Okay, yeah, maybe somebody was saying it should be 19.5, and that you would still bet the Chargers.
Is 19.5 really enough?
I mean, I don't know, man. It's Ross. It's so bad that I'm tired of just spending all of my time shitting on them for how bad they are at this point. But that's kind of where we're at. 8.5. All right, so 8.5, 9.5, 8.5, depending on which sports book you're looking at. It's not enough, and the Titans will probably lose by more because the Chargers are a considerably better football team. But I think it is a tough balance to say, no, you're not allowed to have any fun at all. You have to be miserable the entire way through, because that's where we are. Like, sit in it, sulk in it, and do something about it is the appropriate way to respond. But I just don't think that they play for an organization that's prioritizing winning as the most important thing right now, which is tough. If your organization is telling you one thing, but trying to sneakily orchestrate another, or, I mean, really not even that sneakily, right? I mean, they're stripping this thing down to the studs and saying, all right, Denard Wilson, go out there and field a defense. It's really tough for me to have a hard time or to give a hard time to the players who are just trying to make their jobs a little less miserable. Even if you want them to be as miserable as you are, I struggle with that. You know what I'm saying? Euler on YouTube says it's okay to dial back coverage on this team. We understand. Well, no, it's not for me, because that's my job. Like, in the same way that it's their job to play football games, or your job to go about whatever it is that you do for a living, whether you're in medical sales or you're an Uber driver or whatever, like, you have to show up to work. I have to show up to work. And I think that it's easier for me to show up to work than most people. But I do think that it's hard to pitch you guys if I'm me, right? And I care about what's most important to me, which is the success of the shows that I do and the companies that I work for. And fortunately, I'm doing a little national stuff now with the Fox show this football season, which has given me a break to be able to talk about Cowboys or Packers or NBA or all the stuff that I enjoy. That's not just 3 hours or 3.5 hours with primetime, 3.5 hours of miserable Titans talk a day. Yeah. So it's a circumstance where I do have to find something that's interesting for you guys, but I do think it's a tough sell for me to be like, hey, don't you guys care about footwork and mechanics in Week 8 of the NFL season for your quarterback? Don't you care about incremental improvement? And I made this analogy before on, I think I was cutting a video for social media or something like that. Let me quickly, I never started the Primetime Show officially. Welcome into Primetime, by the way. We're 14 minutes in. I'm your host, Buck Rising, if you're just now joining us, and I'm proud as always to be presented to you by T-Dot. NobodyTrashesTennessee.com is where you go. T-Dot reminds you to be a part of the solution to end littering. T-Dot, or rather NobodyTrashesTennessee.com, will give you all manner of options to help the Tennessee Department of Transportation in that goal. I tell you guys this all the time. I know it sounds self-righteous, but I swear to God, I enjoy picking up trash in my neighborhood. I got my little grabber tool. I've got my trash bag that I walk around with. I put my headphones in. I pop a gummy. I pick up trash around my neighborhood. I love it. I genuinely enjoy it, which is why I love having T-Dot as a partner. I love the state of Tennessee. I love the city of Nashville. It kills me. It bothers me deeply to see people trashing Tennessee. And not just because in my neighborhood, I don't like it because it makes my property value worse. Like I have self-interest here too, but I also littering has always bothered me. It's a very bizarre passion project of mine that it just makes me insane anytime I see the amount of litter that we tend to have in the city of Nashville. Because I want a nice neighborhood. I want a healthy environment. I want all of these things. So does the Tennessee Department of Transportation. So they invite you to help me and help them be a part of the solution to end littering. NobodyTrashesTennessee.com for more details. Rishi says Papa the Gummy was not on my bingo card. Man, how else do you think I cover your football team? It's not just black coffee that gets me through the day. You know what I'm saying? Like it's every ounce of numbing that you can do to get through the bad football and find the light at the end of the tunnel, which is crazy that the football season is so bad around here lately. And really just the local sports scene. Like I know this isn't a Pred show, but I mean, my God, the Nashville Predators suck too. I'm praying that Nashville SC doesn't get dog walked by Inter Miami on Saturday, but I have a feeling that they're going to. It's just a really tough scene here in local sports lately, other than Vanderbilt. But there's just, I can't do 3 hours a day of Vanderbilt talk. Certainly not here. You guys don't care about that way. The radio audience, I do get a little more Vandy interest because it is a local sports talk show. But still, Brandon Tyler says I need to be a Zyn guy. I've never liked dip or the pouches. A Titans assistant coach, was it last year? It was before the game. It used to before a game that they won, ironically enough, offered me a coffee flavored Zyn, and I tried it. And it didn't really have, it didn't have the desired effect for me. It wasn't for me. If it's for you, that's fine. No free ads, but we go through, we're just trying to get through this thing together at the end of the day. And I do think that there's some things that you should care about. Cam Ward, the rest of the rookies, your coaching search after the fact. Is Amy going to come in and mess it all up again? Sure. But Cam Ward is here now, and he's trying to be better as a football player. And that is the thing that ultimately at the core of this, we should care about. And I got a really encouraging text from Greg Cosell yesterday. Greg doesn't usually send me texts like this unprompted. In fact, I think it's the first time he's done it in all of the time in the 5 years that we've been doing the Install podcast, which we will cut tomorrow morning and be able to share some analysis with you as well. Cosell texted me and said, this was yesterday morning before 9 a.m., just finished watching Ward, best game of the season, offensive line, best game in pass pro. I could give a quarterback clinic on Ward, the good, and what must continue to be worked on and improved. So, like, if Cosell is making extra efforts to find good, not he's not manufacturing that opinion about Cam Ward. He's saying, hey, I know they got their asses kicked again, but don't care about the matchup between the Titans and the Colts. Like the schematics of Titans and Colts don't matter. The schematics of Titans and Chargers don't matter, right? The matchup itself is not the important thing here. What is now important is the progress that Cam Ward is making within NFL concepts against NFL defenses. And so we can all find ways to focus on that. And I hate it for you guys. I really do. Because I hate that your football season doesn't matter. But that's the reality of the situation. There are still things inside of the football season that can matter. And that's what we were talking to Cam Ward about today. Now, we're not going to go to the podium. By the way, A to Z Sports Primetime, presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Online at tworiversford.com for more details. Quality American-made Ford vehicles and award-winning customer service. Two Rivers has been in business for over 4 decades, making sure that you get the best product for your family's budget and for your family's needs. TwoRiversFord.com for more details. The Two Rivers Ford take this evening to prompt you guys is this. Where do you think the Titans offense has improved? Because I'm going to share with you some numbers that Zach Lyons did some good research on, and I'm going to share with you some Cam Ward audio that we heard in just a second. But where do you think the Titans offense has improved? I went around the locker room today, mostly talking to rookies. I did talk a little to Tajay Spears as well, but wanted to obviously get Cam Ward's perspective on it. Spoke to Gunnar Helton, spoke to Alec Iamander. Didn't see Chimere Dike in the locker room today. And then obviously, talking to guys like Chig and Tajay about, hey, they're selling guys off around you for parts. Is it hard not to look over your shoulder at this point in the locker room, which is an uncomfortable dynamic, but that's the nature of Titans football anymore, right? That's kind of where we are. So with all of these different things that you have at your disposal, there's a lot that can be found in each Cam Ward performance. Now, do you have to have Greg Cosell levels of film study to find that? Yeah, but that's why we're here, to provide you the access to people like Cosell, for Cosell to distill it down for you and to help you learn about what it is that they're accomplishing. Superfast on YouTube says, as miserable as you are covering this team, what other team, city, market would you choose to live in right now? If it's not the Titans, please don't say the Colts. No, I know you guys like to joke with me about, am I a Colts fan? Guys, I swear to you, I've never watched a Colts game that the Titans haven't played in, because I didn't care about the Colts. Like, I care about Indiana basketball. I've lived in Tennessee longer than I ever lived in Indiana. Not to get into the background of me, but we just didn't spend enough time in Indiana for me to even remotely grow up as a Colts fan. We were in New York. We were in Washington, D.C. We lived in Cairo, Egypt for a little while, because that's where my family's from. We moved back to Evansville, Indiana when I was right before high school, only because that's where my mom's from, and her parents had passed away, and so she wanted to be closer to family, and that's fine. So I went to college in the state of Indiana as opposed to anywhere else. I have no allegiance whatsoever to the Colts. I've only been to, I did go to one Colts game in college, but that's kind of because I was vibing with, the closest I've ever been to being a fan of an NFL team is I started watching the NFL later in my life, and I really enjoyed the Peyton Manning Denver Broncos and the Baltimore Ravens with those defenses. Those were fun NFL teams, and so I was kind of split, and I think the Ravens had a game at the Colts. Can't remember if I was a sophomore. Joe Flacco was still the quarterback of the Ravens. I think this was the year after they started the Super Bowl. So whatever. Indiana, I love people in Indiana. I love my family, obviously, from Indiana. The state of Indiana is a bit of a wasteland, and I would never choose to spend my time there. And that's not a shot at people or the community or the place that I went to high school or anything like that. It's just there's nothing in Indiana for me, guys. You know what I'm saying? So it's not no matter if the Colts were 7-1, I would still I don't want to cover any other NFL team this way. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing that pisses me off. I love Nashville. The thing that makes me insane is I'm not a native Nashvilleian, but I'm a Tennessean for a decade now. You know what I'm saying? This is my home. This is the place that I've lived longer than any other place in my life. 10 years for me in one place at 32 years old is an insanity. This place means more to me than any other place I've ever spent time. And I know I don't give you guys that vibe because I'm constantly shitting on your teams, but your teams are bad. And I want them to be good for you, because maybe you don't believe me sometimes, but I do care about you guys and the enjoyment that you get out of your sports teams. I want to be somebody who gets to cover the success that the teams have, and, to be there when criticism is warranted or whatever. And I know I'm way more critical the last couple of years than I have been. This is turning into a very, very self-involved thing. All that to say that I don't want to live anywhere else. I don't think I would want to cover another team on a day-to-day basis as a beat reporter. You know what I'm saying? I don't maybe Dallas. Dallas is the one, right? Because Dallas is the biggest. It's the biggest one. Give me the most amount of attention. Give me the most amount. The monster in me, the click monster in me, would tell you Dallas, because it's a nice place to live, and the team is popular even when they're bad, and people still care about the Dallas Cowboys even when the Dallas Cowboys have a season like the Tennessee Titans. So if you forced my hand and said, well, you can't pick Nashville and the Titans, I would say Dallas, just because I don't want to live in cold weather cities. I don't want to live in Jacksonville. I don't, I mean, Arizona's cool, but their stadium it's literally in the middle of the desert, and nobody cares about the Cardinals. You know what I'm saying? So that's just Ann Hirsch says attention seeking. Buck, no way. Listen, I'm really good at it. All right, and I would kill it in Dallas. And nobody could convince me otherwise. But I don't want to live there. This is my home. You know what I'm saying? I have a tremendous amount of pride in this place. I do. I really, really do. I love this place. And the fact that I'm annoyed by the professional football team and how shitty they are and how big a waste of time they are is not reflective of the fact that, like, I'm unhappy here. I'm not unhappy here. I'm unhappy that they waste your time, that they waste my time, that they waste the football consuming public's time when everybody else in the world gets to change the channel on them. And, we have to just sit here and suffer through it. Also, somebody adds, plus moving sucks. Yeah, but I make enough money. I can pay movers. Like, it's not the end of the world. Moving does suck, but like I've moved so many times in my life, guys. Like my parents worked in politics and government. You know what I'm saying? Like moving does not scare me. But it also doesn't take away from the fact that I genuinely love it here. And so I want them to be better. I want them to be better because I want their games to matter. I want the things that we do together to matter. And they consistently shit the bed in that department, which makes me insane. All right. Anyway, sorry for the diatribe, but I thought it was a good question. And point is, we're here to talk about Cam Ward's growth and development. Ross is giving me a golf clap. Yeah, I know it was a lot of self-righteousness, shocking to nobody. When I've run out of things to talk about, I tend to talk about me. That's something that needs to come up in therapy at some point in time. Anyway, Cam Ward. Let's talk about Cam Ward at this point. Cam Ward is, D. Lee says, Buck just interviewed himself. I'm really, really good at that. Really, really good at that. Famously. So when the Titans do shit, and I swear to God, this is the last little side quest we'll get on. When the Titans do shit and people ask me to do interviews in places that are other than Nashville, I catch myself being so long-winded because I have many, many things to say about this, but I'm a much worse guest on shows than I used to be. You know what I'm saying? I'm just rambling at this point in time. Anyway, somebody said I might as well be a fan, Buck. You have the anger and depression for it. No, I'm not depressed. I'm pissed. It's totally different. I'm not depressed at all. In fact, I'm encouraged. I'm invigorated by the fact that they suck so badly that I want to push them to be better on a regular basis because it makes me insane. Anyway, Cam Ward. I swear to God, we're going to talk about Cam Ward. And we spoke to the rookie quarterback today about where he thinks they are improving at this point in time and how he self-scouts things when the winning isn't necessarily happening, but there are important points of improvement that he must, learn from, analyze himself with the help of his coaching staff and his teammates, and then continue to build upon. This was Cam Ward at the podium today.
Results haven't been what you wanted, but as you look back to your first game to now, do you get the sense that you've improved like you would have wanted so far?
Yeah, I think I improved every game. From an operation standpoint, from play call standpoint, to getting in and out of huddle, to knowing where guys is, to being an NFL quarterback, I think every game's got better. Then for each other position, every game we've had together, we've got better chemistry at. Because practice is a lot different than the game. So, I'll continue to work with those guys, continue to work with me, and we're going to continue to be better.
What do you think you've learned, Cam, in terms of getting the ball out quickly in the NFL as opposed to college, and how much maybe more important that is?
I just think it helps keep us on track. I think when I do my job at a high level, it keeps the offense just flowing, helping out the O-line, helping the receivers out. Then also just getting the guys, our playmakers in space to make plays.
Was it a big adjustment in terms of how long you can hold the ball maybe in college versus the NFL?
It's not really a big adjustment. It's about the times when you can hold the ball, a certain situation when you need to extend. But majority of the game, you have to continue to just try to play on schedule.
Speaking with us today, asking him about the places that he's improved, And the operation is something that I do think they're better at. Listen, Brian Callahan being fired didn't fix everything, right? We understand that Brian Callahan was not the biggest problem. He was a part of the problem, but he wasn't the biggest problem that they have. The biggest problem that they have is not a problem that they could solve, because the biggest problem that they have is their owner right now. And the people that really, I think the people at some point, and maybe it's an off-season show, we can talk about the people who I think are running this franchise into the ground. Because I don't know. I have many strong opinions that are shared by people who have played for this organization, by people who have worked for this organization. But I need a little more. What's the word? I need more facts. Like facts that I can share with you publicly before I, go full send and pile drive people into the ground that I think are directly ruining the franchise. And I do think those people exist, and I don't necessarily think it's just Amy's fault, even though Amy might have trusted the wrong people. So we can have that conversation at a later date when I've got more evidence to present to you as to why I think this thing is going as poorly as it is. And they still may, get lucky and get some of it right. And they still might have hired a good GM in Mike Borgonzi. But that doesn't excuse the mistakes that got them to this point. And I think there are people who are directly responsible for that. And we will have that conversation at a later date. But Zach Lyons did a really good job looking at the 11-team offense and 11 quarterback stat categories for the Titans. And he broke them up by head coach and play caller. So Brian Callahan as head coach and play caller, Callahan with Bo Hardegree as the play caller, Mike McCoy and Bo Hardegree as the play caller, and he then determined which of those three combinations of people have actually improved things, or where they were the best versions of themselves. So Mike McCoy and Bo Hardegree are better in these categories. It's the vast majority of these categories. So they are averaging more yards per game under Mike McCoy and Bo Hardegree, more touchdowns per game, more points, a higher EPA per play. So they are more efficient as an offense. They have a higher success rate. They have made more red zone trips. Now, these still are basement dweller numbers relative to the rest of the league, but there are places where they have gotten better. So again, yards per game, touchdowns per game, EPA per play, success rate, red zone rate, third down rate, yards per drive, time per drive. So they are better in a vast majority of categories since they made the coaching change. Cam Ward is also getting better. He's completing more passes. He's getting the ball out. His time to throw against the Colts was really high. I need to double check it. I want to say it was like 3.15 or something like that, which would be a career high. And obviously that speaks to the idea of holding the ball. If you'll bear with me for a second, I can bring that up. I did not have that number. Did not think that I was going to cite that number today until I just thought about it. But I think it was the second longest time to throw in football in week 8. Let's see. We're in week 8. Yeah. Okay. So the longest time to throw was Jackson Dart, 3.68. Cam Ward was second longest, or second worst in this category, 3.15. Caleb Williams, 3.11. Dillon Gabriel, 3.1 flat. So holding the ball is still something that they are having to work uphill against, but they are more efficient across the board. Plays per drive, they're about even from Callahan to McCoy. The only places that they were better on a regular basis is they were making more trips. They were getting into the red zone more often with Callahan, but they are capitalizing more under McCoy. And points per game is down, even though they are scoring more touchdowns per game. So they're not getting as many field goal opportunities. They're not settling for as many field goal opportunities. So their points are down, because right now, Callahan, they were averaging 17 points per game with him as the play caller and the head coach. The Titans are currently averaging 13.5 points per game. But again, because the field goals have been taken out of this at this point in time. Jack Longley says 3.68 against the Eagles defense is actually an insane and reckless decision. He's going to die back there. Get that thing out, Dart. Yeah, that's a crazy number. I don't think I've ever seen 3.68 in terms of time to throw. So there are things here that he is making progress on, but it's not happening fast enough to keep fans' attention. And I'm sure many of you saw the Barstool Sports post this week from Dan Katz, the big cat from Barstool Sports, where he's just saying, yeah, I just don't even want to watch the Titans anymore. Relatable, right? I don't think any of us want to watch the Titans anymore. But these things do matter for future success. And that sucks for every one of your last 3 football seasons, essentially, to be about future success. It's just, they are annoying. It's an annoying football franchise of late. Anyway, speaking of the annoyance of the football franchise, it takes a lot for Eddie George to speak out. And that's something that we didn't get to last week, and we really haven't really gotten into it until today with Keith Bullock on the radio show, because Eddie George made some comments in an interview with the Tennessean about his work in coaching. Now he's coaching Bowling Green. He is formerly the coach of TSU, so he's obviously grinding his way up through the process of becoming a head coach later in life than most people, right? Eddie George has an unconventional path in the coaching world. But I think that when he was asked about the Titans, he gave some very frank and honest comments about the situation, which we'll read to you here in just a second. Then you'll get Keith Bullock's reaction to it, because we had KB on the radio show today in studio right after I remind you that the Primetime program is made possible by the wonderful people at TrueMav Fitness in the Gulch. TrueMavFitness.com is where you go for the best workout in Middle Tennessee. No workout ever recycled or repeated. And also long-suffering Titans fan Worth Campbell owns TrueMav Fitness. He will get you in the best shape. He will help you with your frustrations, or at least he will commiserate with you in your frustrations about being a Titans fan. TrueMavFitness.com. They're so confident that you will enjoy their workouts that they are offering you your first workout free. So visit them at TrueMav Fitness in the Gulch as soon as you can. I'm there every Friday for Arm Farm Friday, and I enjoy the holy hell out of it. That's personal training, but you don't have to do personal training if you don't want to. You can do group fitness classes. You can just sign up for a cost-effective membership and work out in their open gym for free. Well, with your membership, you can, as you please. But you can get that first workout free at TrueMavFitness.com. All right. So Eddie George made some comments about the Titans last week in an interview in the Tennessean. And the question I'm going to ask you is, do you agree or disagree with Eddie George's evaluation of the Titans franchise? These are the comments that he made. So Mike Organ sits down with Eddie George, and he's giving some thoughts on the circumstance around all of the different firings that have happened and the state of flux that they're in and the constant state of losing that they are suffering through. And he is, Eddie George, I don't think you could find a more influential person about, like, publicly, nationally, about the Tennessee Titans than Eddie George. He is still, in the absence of Steve McNair, he is still the most famous person associated with the Tennessee Titans. With the Houston Oilers, it's probably Warren Moon or Bum Phillips or Earl Campbell. There's more names there. But the Titans right now, living legend Eddie George. So he was asked about the decision-making lately, and this was the quote that he gave. "I'm sad to see Brian Callahan get fired. Being in this profession, I know how hard it is to win and try to build something. I don't know if he was given the proper time to do that. It's a results business, and they didn't think it was the right fit." The article goes on to say, George fears the Titans have put themselves in a hole that continues to get bigger with each firing, which also included Mike Vrabel as coach in 2023 and 2 general managers over the last 4 years. He believes it has set the franchise back, quote, at least a decade, maybe more. And then he also gave some thoughts on the culture, the lack of culture that he's able to identify. Quote, "What is the culture in the building? I can speak to that because I know what it was like when I was there. We had a blueprint. We had an identity. What do you want to be that's sustainable?" I think that's a question for Amy, the GM, and the president. And then they have to find a coach that they can be on the same page with. How are you going to build this out? How much time are you going to give this person? It's not going to happen overnight. And the problem is that they keep setting themselves back. Like, that's what he's saying when he says they've set themselves back a decade or more. And I mean, for any other competent NFL organization, a decade is a lifetime. The Titans have only been around. The Titans haven't been around for 3 decades. And Eddie is saying they've set themselves back a full 10 years, maybe more. Maybe that's a bit hyperbolic. But, I mean, we're going on 4 years of this shit where the kind of first domino to fall was the COVID draft, John Robinson's decision-making in free agency, and the draft in the pandemic. That's the first, like, fall of Rome, right? That's where it starts. Then the A.J. Brown trade. Then the drafts that followed A.J. Brown. Then the ill-fated marriage that the Titans organization tried to force on Mike Vrabel with Rand Carthon. Then the firing of Mike Vrabel, who was doing enough to hold the thing together with duct tape, but didn't have any more players and, fell out of favor with ownership. Is that right? Is that wrong? Obviously, Mike Vrabel gets to look like the most right person in football. And I think part of that is because he was better at what they were doing than anybody else in their organization. He also has, Drake May is a top 6 quarterback, a top 5 quarterback. He certainly looks like the best quarterback out of that 2024 draft class. He certainly looks better than the number 1 overall pick, Caleb Williams. And he's in an organization, or he's playing for an organization that looked just as batshit crazy as the Titans did for a minute there. But the difference is they ripped the Band-Aid and they got things start going in a better direction faster. And also Drake May making a huge jump matters more than anything else. But they got Josh McDaniels, who's never going to be an NFL head coach again. And so you don't have to worry about losing him the way that you lost Arthur Smith or Matt LaFleur or any of these other things. You don't have to worry about Todd Downing being the OC in New England, right? Because they've got Josh McDaniels, who's flamed out twice, and Vrabel and McDaniels have an understanding of, hey, we're going to be here at this for a minute. We're focused on development. We're focused on improvement. Let's put together the best coaching staff possible. And they've done that in New England, and they're 6-2, right? So nobody gets to look more right than Mike Vrabel, and nobody gets to eat shit more than the Titans because of the decisions that they've made after the fact. So was Eddie George right or wrong? I don't know. 10 years is a long time. Like I said, the franchise has not even been around, or at least the Titans era has not even been a thing for 3 decades. So to say that they've set themselves back a decade, maybe more, does feel slightly dramatic. But Eddie George doesn't speak out on these things. And so when he speaks, it matters. When he says that about the Titans, I bet that impacts Amy Adams Strunk more than anything else that has happened of late. Because one thing I know about Amy, and I don't know much, which is crazy because I've been here for 10 years. I've covered this is my 9th football season covering the Tennessee Titans. And Amy Adams Strunk is she's more of an idea than she is a real person. Like, I know she's a real person. I see her at games, but like any conversation I've had with Amy is just kind of high and by. You do a great job. Thanks, appreciate it. And then she and her contingent keep walking. Like, that's just what it is. It's very surface level. It's very superficial, but she's not here as often as all these other people, all these coaches, all these players, all of us. So, the thing that I do know about Amy, because I know about the people that work with Amy and work around Amy, is that she does actually care about alumni relations. She's trying to repair the image that her father fell out of favor with a lot of different people that gave their time and their talents to the Titans organization. So she's trying to build up her dad's legacy by repairing the franchise's relationship with Houston Oilers players and Tennessee Titans players. Like that, she really does care about that. And she has made strides, I think positive strides in that direction. It's really the only positive thing I've said about Amy Adams Strunk in the last 4 years. But so when Eddie says something like that publicly, I know that cuts her deep. And then when I asked Keith Bulluck about it today on the radio show, I think he gave a similar response. We will hear from Keith Bulluck here in just a second, right after I remind you that Simon Says Nashville is where you go to be the best dressed version of yourself. Nobody will make you or put you in a better position to look your best than the best men's clothing spot in Nashville. Certainly, SimonSaysNashville.com is where you go, conveniently located in Wedgwood, Houston. They are there to serve you. Go to SimonSaysNashville.com today. All right, here's Keith Bulluck on the radio show when I asked him about Eddie George's comments.
When you guys are in a position of prominence and you are associated with the organization, but there is criticism that is warranted, how difficult is that for you all to balance?
I mean, I don't have to balance it. You know, you just take the jokes from your guys around the league that you play with. It's funny. It's like college too. You know, college football, I root for the coach, so I get back into my alma mater. You know what I'm saying? So with the Titans, you're not involved once you leave, unless I don't even know how to apply for a job. So you just sit back and watch the moves that they make. I'm not too critical because it's like I can't act like I haven't been there as a player. You know what I mean? But then when I was there as a player, I'm definitely up in Floyd's office like, yo, Floyd Reese. Floyd, what's up? What are we doing? Why are we getting rid of Eddie? Why? And Floyd Reese told me, because we're getting younger. You know, everyone respects Eddie George around here, but we just drafted a Pac-Man Jones. How do you think that is? You know what I mean? So then it makes sense to me. So then they start to get more leadership after we go through some tough times. I call them the big three for me: Kevin Mawai, Chris Hope, and David Thornton, because those guys come from championship teams, played a lot of football, seen a lot of different ways things were done. So they can give the leadership different than I at that time. I'm abrasive. You know what I mean? I'm different. You know, I feel you have to go into the dark before you can come back into the light. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, until we went 13-3 and started making, before that, we went to the playoffs the year before. But once we started to go on that playoff run with those guys and that draft class in 05 and 06 that I told you about, and some other free agents, that's when we started to see success. So the questions you guys need to ask is, you know, what's the plan? What type of player are we recruiting? Because we know we need pass rush. We know we need more depth with wide receivers. We know what type of corner do they want, right? Because Brownlee went out to the Jets and is making plays. He's made plays every game he's been playing. Roger McCreary, he just had a sack last week. So for me, not even being funny, like, you don't even know what style of defensive back they want. And when you hear, yeah, it's just confusing. But to what you asked, they just have to have a plan and stick with it. Like, what is their scouting department looking at?
They have to have a plan and stick with it. And that's obviously something that the Titans organization has not done very well in the last couple of years. We have done almost an hour worth of show. We've done almost 50 minutes of show tonight. So I don't necessarily know that everybody needs to do rising and falling and all the other things. Although it is a funny video that Ross did pull about the governor of Louisiana saying that the athletic director at LSU should not get to hire the next coach, and that he'd rather have Donald Trump hire the next coach of the Tigers.
He'd rather have the president. I mean, it just means more in the SEC.
It truly just means more. So much more that we're undermining. This is like an Amy Adams Strunk thing, right? No, don't let the football people make the football decisions. I will make the football decisions, or I will go out and ask our supreme leader while he's trying to negotiate peace in the Middle East or whatever, building ballrooms on the side of the White House and things like that, if he should hyper focus in on the next coach of the Tigers. It's just so fun. You know what? We need a laugh. We need a little levity. We're just going to play the video anyway. I think I've told you about all the people that make this show possible. Indeed, I have. So what we will do for you is we will tell you that tomorrow morning on the radio show from 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone, we will have Nate Washington. Nate Washington, published author, Titans legend Nate Washington. He has many thoughts on what he's seeing from Cam Ward. He will join us, and we will have a great time together. So look forward to hanging out with you guys from 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone. And instead of ending the show on a different video, we will end the show on this video, which is the Louisiana governor speaking on the state of LSU football.
The first question is absolutely correct. We are not going down a failed path. And I wanted to tell you something. This is a pattern. The guy that's here now that wrote that contract cost Texas A&M $70-something million. Right now, we got a $53 million liability. We are not doing that again. And you know what? I believe that we're going to find a great coach. I mean, maybe we'll let President Trump pick it. He loves winners. You know, I'm not going to be picking the next coach. But I can promise you, we're going to pick a coach, and we're going to make sure that coach is successful. And we're going to make sure that he's compensated properly. And we're going to put metrics on it. because I'm tired of rewarding failure in this country and then leaving the taxpayers on the foot, to foot the bill. So, yeah, I absolutely. Who's that? No. I can tell you right now, Scott Woodward is not selecting the next coach. Hell, I'll let Donald Trump select it before I let him do it. I don't know, but the Board of Supervisors is going to come up with a committee, and they're going to go find us a coach. Because, wait, I want to hold on. One real quick thing on that. Because here's what y'all reporters need to do. Y'all need to start looking at who represents all these people, like these agents. You know what's interesting? If I'm not mistaken, Woodward's agent, Kelly's agent, the Texas A&M, they're all the same agent. Like, you realize if I would be, I don't know how many sports writers we got here today? Just you. We should have a bunch. Okay? Like, this is ridiculous. Lawyers would be disbarred for the way these agents act and the way they're able to represent. In fact, there's no doubt, they may even represent some of the players now. Like, it's really time for the NCAA to put on some guardrails in college sports. Because, and it's fine. We don't need the guardrails. If big billionaires want to spend all that kind of money, no problem. But if I got to go find $53 million from Kevin, it's not going to be a pleasant conversation. I'm just telling you. I know. And I think that that's important.